Alright, everybody, this is Will from my friend Productions², and we are here this morning to do some streaming. Mentioned I was going to start doing morning streams for plugin development for our plugins for RPG Maker MV, and that's what we're going to do. So today we're going to work on the Class Changer plugin. This is kind of a brief sort of I did not actually open it. I thought I opened it. Alright. Where are you? Plugins. Here we go. Ah, okay. Wow. It's not even opening. Okay. So, are there any... Nope. Okay. Alright, Envy, what the hell are you doing? Let's see. Oh, wow. What the hell? Okay, so Steam must have restarted or crashed or something. So, let's restart it. Okay, yeah. There's an update. That's weird, though. It should start Steam and then... I don't know. Cannot connect the Steam network. Seriously. Is Steam down? No, it's up. It's probably gonna ask me to do the Steam Guard crap. No, it must be down. That's weird. Maybe the login server is down. Everything else seems to be up. Steam store is offline. Okay. Yeah, so... Looks like the store is down. So that means the login server is down if the store is down. Okay then, we'll just go to offline mode. Alright, now it should open. There we go. Alright, so just to kind of refresh what this is. This plugin is something that allows you to change your classes without having to do some insane event stuff. So normally, what you'd have to do to change classes is you'd have to build like a fake store or fake menu system or whatever using events to change. There's a change class. Here it is, change class. So you have to use these events. So you have to like make a list, a show choices list that has all your classes in it. Then you'd have to select them and put all the conditions and things for when you'd want to have them available. And it just becomes a mess because of how the conditional branches work in this game, in MV. So instead of that, I figured, okay, let's make a plugin, and I think this is based off of a plugin, a XP plugin by Sephiroth Spawn. All three of my plugins so far have all been XP plugins, and I've kind of taken and rewritten for MV. So, what this allows you to do right now is you can define a class that you want to have in the in the system by using a note tag, requirements note tag. We're going to be changing this to, I'm going to be calling this class requirements now. It's one of the changes we're going to do to this thing, so it's a little more specific. So for this class, for the hero class, you have to have a novice. You have to have your novice class at level 10 in order to change to this class. That's what this is saying. So this is the class. This is the class. So 1, which is novice. This is indicating that it's a class requirement, and then 10 is the level for the requirement. So like if we go to Cardinal, class 1 and 5, so Novice 28 and Priest level 20. Or something like Valkyrie. So this has a lot more stuff in it. So you got the classes, so 1 and 2, so Hero and Novice, 20 and 15. And you also have some weapon restrictions and armor restrictions. So, these mean that if you have these weapons or these are, let's see, restricted. I believe that means that you have to have these in order to change to this class. Let me check that real quick, though. Restricted. Oh, I don't have the note tag stuff in there? Oh, I do, but I don't have the entire note tag. Oh, I didn't finish doing the note tag stuff. Okay, then I guess we're going to go to GitHub. Seriously? Okay, no. Let me go to RPG Maker. Okay, so let's go to this one and then I'll find my way over to my post. Whatever. So I want to go to JavaScript boards and in development. There we go. Here we are. Class changing. Actually, I think I updated this too, so it's up here. I think it should be up here. Restriction. There we go. So, any class. Okay, I probably should explain this better in this description here, but I think what I'm saying, what this says and what I've said, is that in order to change to that Valkyrie class, we have to have weapons 6 and 7. So Berserker's Axe and Assassin's Dagger, and also armor. What was it? Armor 8 and 7, which would be Pillaging Leathers and Wildling Helm. There's also a gender restriction, so it's only female characters can be this class. And to set that up, as you saw earlier up here, we have tags to do that, so let's also change this to a class requirements tag. So we're going to be making some changes, we're going to be adding a few things, and we're going to be cleaning up some other stuff. My goal is basically to make the plugin work a little bit better. It works fine now, but just to go in and clean it up a bit, make it a little more efficient, and add some new functionality. We're also going to be requirements with an S. Yes. Right. Ah, there. All right. We'll get to that later. I'm gonna add one more class as well. Actually, I'll do two more. We'll leave this blank. Just gonna name these something stupid. So we use that. Now for these, we're gonna test. These are gonna be testing two new features we're gonna add. So none. Let's see. So we want to tell me exactly. Some of the stuff is something that was requested. Let's see. Hide a class in the list. The unique bounded backstory card. I don't think it's to be on the list. Okay, so keep XP of characters. Let's see. So hiding either based on if and attribute for the to make the system. Yeah, I think so. That's a good description of what we're going to do. A couple of things that we're going to do. So, Okay. So there are a couple things we're going to do right there. So we're going to be putting in a way to hide a class from the list based on a plugin parameter setting. We're going to be putting in a way to not have to prevent a class from being used by the system. We're going to be adding in a description for classes. We're going to be adding in a few more ways in which you can restrict classes. So we're trying to expand the plugin a bit. So, got this one, that's fine. So on this one, I'm going to say so actually we only really need one extra test class. So let's say ignore. Yeah. Alright. So I'm going to finish modifying these tags real quick. This is going to be kind of a pain in the ass for some people because they'll have to go through and do what I'm doing, and if they have a lot of classes, it'll take them a little bit of time, but just want to make this the note tag open and close markations a bit more specific than just saying requirements, just in case there's another plugin out there that has something that says requirements, so they don't conflict. So replace. What does replace do? So I've forgotten entirely what replace does. Requirements. Replace. Here we go. Requirement replacement. Okay. This feature allows you to define a requirement based on weapons or armor, which will oh, that's right. These are the overriding ones. So, if you have weapon 8 equipped and your gender is male, so weapon 8 was that clown scepter. So if you have this on and you're a male character, you'll be able to change to this class without meeting the other requirements. That's what that does. So that this way you can have certain items that have classes bound to them, that allow you to have characters be able to change them without having to have the normal other requirements for it. It's meant for items that are like trying to think of an example in some game of an item, probably more prevalent in an MMO. Some item that would forcibly change your class if you equip it. It's kind of similar to that. There's that one. So this class has an item requirement. So now you have to also, not only do you have to have the class requirements, the classes, and these two classes with these levels. So that would be novice and warrior. You have to have item number 5, which is probably a Dragon Ball or something. Yeah, this God. So predictable. 7-star Dragon Ball. Okay. So yeah, that's another way you can use this. There's an item requirement tag that you can use to tie classes to items. It's not a replacement. We're going to be adding items to the replacement system, but there is that. We're also going to be adding items to the restriction system as well. And I believe there's also a... So let's go back up to this one really quick. So it says weapon restricted. So that's fine, that's normal. Any class that has a weapon and armor is part of the restriction requirement. So what I'm actually thinking is that, so these are the requirements here. What I'm thinking restriction is if you have these equipped, you can't be that class. That's what I thought the system was, from my recollection of what I did with it. Maybe I'll just have to check in the code and see what it's actually doing, and maybe change it to actually do that. Because the way it's written here, it seems like it's doing what this does, or maybe that they're reversed. Let me see. Find a requirement based around equipped gear. 2 weapons, 2 armors. 1 weapon, 3 armor. So yeah, these would be the weapon and armor requirements. Restrictions, I thought, were meant to be a way to prevent certain classes from being changed to if you had certain equipment on. Because if it's just doing it like saying that the class is restricted to these weapons, then that's basically this system here. Maybe what this let's load up the demo. Maybe what this does is prevents you from changing to other classes when you have these equipped. Maybe that's what it does. Or wait, I'm not gonna save it. Or will this automatically save? Okay, no, it doesn't. Got an option not to save. Good. Made all those changes. Turn. I'll turn that down. Turn this up a bit. Alright. Okay, I believe she gives gold. Alright. So, what did I say those were? For Persia, 1 and 2. So, one opposite hero. Okay. Alright, so I can't change because, so yeah, it seems like these are just doing the normal stuff. Yay, I caused a crash. Clicking on clown. Awesome. What the hell? Oh, there's no errors over here. F5. Let's restart it. That was interesting, though. Should that even have been open now? Available to click on? Oh yeah, 20 and 15, okay. Do I have a save? That was interesting. Lovely. Okay, that's probably from a much earlier version of the game. What was that thing that came up though at the beginning? Oh, what the hell? Just like comes up here. This is very strange. Thinking that save game is bugged. Though I'm curious now. Yeah, there's something wrong with that save game. Alright, okay, I have the gold system off, so I don't need that. Alright. Well, first let's go ahead and equip that, if I can. That's weird. I guess the... Okay, I didn't set up the parameters on these. That's what's going on. Okay. Now I should be able to change to it. Yeah. So that's all they do. It's just they're... Okay, so we need to change... We have to change that system. Because it's doing what the standard weapon system does. The restriction system should do something different. So can go one of two ways, or we can do both and have like a plugin option to change the functionality of it. We can either have it make it so that a class that has a weapon restriction doesn't allow you to change other classes just to that one when you have the that stuff equipped, or we say that any classes that have a restriction, that's a weapon they can't use. Well, that doesn't make any sense either, because you can kind of do that with well, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. So if you have this weapon equipped, you can't change to this class. Okay. Just trying to think if we even need it anymore. I mean, it's... This is the hard thing about going through and realizing that stuff you did is stupid. Okay, so... The weapon tag, or the weapon attribute's already limited class, or rather, implement a weapon or armor requirement on a class. The restriction system should then say... If you have this weapon or item equipped, then you can only change to this class, or any classes that have that weapon or armor as a restricted armor. Which is kind of what I'm saying in replace. If you look at the replace description, it's saying that or wait, was it up here? Yeah, here. So it's saying that, at max you can have 1 or 2 weapon restrictions requirements and 2 armor or 3 armor restrictions requirements per class. This is specifically this. So this means that you can have access to 4 restricted classes at any one time until they change to those restricted classes. So what I think this is supposed to do is supposed to allow you to, but I mean that's kind of what, well, and again that's still kind of what the original, the base version of the weapon and armor requirements does. This has to do something different. So I'm thinking we're going to make this, if you have these requirements, whatever you have here for the restricted requirements is going to prevent you from changing to any class other than the ones that are using that weapon or armor. So, this, like for example, if you have a sword called called the super sword, any class that has the super sword as a restricted weapon requirement would be, the system would force you to be able to change to only those or classes you've already been. So like let's say novice warrior, then there's 2 or 3 classes that use that weapon as a restricted weapon requirement, so you'd be able to change to those other classes you've been, but any classes you could change to but haven't yet, you would not be able to change to have that item, that weapon equipped. I think that's what we're going to do with it. So that makes more sense in terms of the restriction part of it. Yes, and this thing. We'll add in a plugin command / parameter to do this bit of it as well. All right. So let's start with getting the tag open and close fixed here. Well, not fixed, but getting it updated. So class and class. Okay. I think we may need to Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this a lot easier. So what we're doing now is we have all these lists that we're creating, and we're looping over them and like getting all the requirements and crap from them. What we're going to do instead is we're going to create a JSON object that's going to have all these parameters in it. So every class will be set up so that it will have options for the required classes. So we'll still have these lists inside of it, but what we were having to do before was to loop through and try and find the specific values. So like, you know, if we're doing the warrior class, which is number 2, we loop through and find like the warrior class, or we use might even be just like looking up the name or something of the class. Process requirements, change class. So yeah, we're looking up based on class ID, I think, for that bit. What about for requirements, though? Check requirements, here we go. So if we replace... like, for example, this one. So we're looping through required classes, looping through actor class keys. We're pulling out, I would assume, is the name or something out of this. Seeing if they're equal and then checking various things. We could just take a lot of this code and throw it out and make something a lot simpler if we used an object that would just have every class and have each class's own stuff, instead of having to go through and try and parse different lists into each other, with each other, to find the correct stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new class. Well, a new thing. I'm going to open up the advanced weapon plugin, because I had to do that there as well. Let's see. Also, to a certain extent, the bank demo too could be used. I'd rather do the what I did with the advanced weapon plugin, though, because that's a little more controllable. Okay, controllable is not the right word. A little bit more extensible. I think it would allow us to do a lot more refactoring on the code. We want plugins. There we go. I believe I moved the class into here. Maybe it's at the end. Or maybe it's not. It might still be in the object file, RPG objects file. I thought I moved it over here, though, so it would all be in the same thing. But maybe this could be an earlier version, I suppose. No, this is one. Oh, this isn't. Yeah, this is the latest one. So it must still be over in the RPG. The RPG objects file. Yeah, it is. Okay. So I just want to grab this. Actually, I want to grab this. I just want to see what it did to define it. Okay. Define properties. so this is the base of what we're going to need to do here. I'm going to try and do this inside of the plugin as well. So it's going to be come on. So game game classes, I guess we'll call it. Yeah, should be the same. Then we'll just remove all this stuff. All right, so okay, we don't need those params. That's to set up something like this, I think. And in fact, that might not even be needed. I'll have to check on that. Because we're not actually using these. Unless... Oh, okay, no, never mind. These are short codes. That's what they are. So, like, we can call game instant... call a... so, like, let's say we have an instance of this called... instanced weapon or something, or iWeapon or something. We can say iWeapon dot, or maybe the arrow operator. Actually, you don't have the arrow operator in JavaScript. So dot MHP, and that's a short code to return the final params, first element of final params, which is a list defined down here. So yeah, those are still needed. Can we use something like that here though? I mean, I guess we could. Maybe. What we would do is we'd have a... I mean, yeah, we could do it, but we shouldn't. We could also do it as just a regular function call, too. This is specifically just so that we have access to these specific things, so we don't have to like pass through, like call get final param then 0 or something, or 1 or whatever parameter we want. We just call this parameter shortcode and it'll do it automatically. We won't need anything like that for this, so maybe not this, but we'll have like a function that'll be able to get stuff from these lists. So yeah, we don't need this actually. All right. So I don't think we'll pass anything through. We'll just set up the class, and then we'll the class instance, and then we'll be able to do stuff from there. So there aren't going to be any. Oh, we'll have members that we'll need to initialize. So, like I was saying, we're going to have lists. So we'll have there. So required classes. Basically, we're just going to take all this stuff down here. I'm just going to throw it in here. I think that's the restricted class list. So, act CLS keys. So, A class. Oh, object actually keys A class. So there's a is that a pass-through? Oh, it's a pass-through. Okay, so fill required vares. So, that's still already been. Okay, so actor classes. So I'm guessing this is a list of all the classes the actor's been. Is this something I added in? Yeah, it's something I added in. Alright. So it's a list of the actor's classes. Okay, that's fine then. So yeah, these we don't need out here anymore. Item gold cost. Yeah, that's fine because that's based on the window, not the class. It's already been this class. Already is this class. Yeah, it's fine to keep out here because we're going to be. This is just for the requirements portion of it. Well, yes and no. Because we're also going to have a var in here to store a bool to hide it from the list. So, b hide class. So actually these should probably go down here. These definitions should go down here. Right, not definitions, but instancing of it. And then we move these from up here. Just to make it a little more correct. I mean, you could do that up there, it's just I'd rather do it in the initialize members rather. This will be false. Is it lowercase? Okay, lowercase. Alright. Actor genders, that's fine. Sys class, that's the game list, the games list of classes, so that's fine to keep there. It's the actors classes, that's fine. That's also fine, and then restricted classes list is fine to keep out here. Alright. So, now. So what I think we'll do is, for setting these up, we'll pass through a. We'll build these out. So I think we're already building them out. Yeah. So we'll keep that kind of functionality. We'll pass through a completed requirement list for that class, and then we'll just set it in, bring it in and set it in here, so it'll be very clean. So game classes dot set hope I could spell that right. Alright. So game classes. Alright. We'll just take this, we'll copy it down a couple times. Required gender is just going to be a string. It's either going to be male or female. None. So we won't have that there. Required levels, yeah, because it has to be a object sort of. Ooh, true. Let's do this instead. So we'll have the required classes, and then they'll also have the levels for the classes there. That would get rid of one list. All those can be their own list, that's fine. But yeah, I want to keep the levels and the classes for the levels that are required together so that we don't have two lists we have to deal with at the same time. Okay, so set acquire items, so rec items. Okay, so I'll do that. I also need to do gets for these. Now, So do I want to make this so that well, no, because we need to be able to, we'll have to pull these out and iterate over them anyway. So, well, what would be easier than that, though? Putting in a get function that allows you to search the list and return a true or false. That way we don't have to iterate over the entire list. Well, we're still kind of doing that, but it's all contained inside of this class now instead of out in the code. Which again, it's kind of, this is more correct for encapsulation purposes. And we're not sending any of the class information out. We're taking in some condition, looking to see if it's true, then returning a true or false. So the class is saying, do I have, in this list, do I have this value, yes or no? Instead of saying, here's this list of values, go play in traffic with it or something. You could also try using filters as well, possibly. But I think filters just look through the list anyway. I think it's a little more efficient, though. Does MV even support filters, though? So I think those might be low dash. G maker MV. I was going with that pixie thing at the top. Oh, that's interesting. It's actually a filter method on arrays. Well, this is not. Well, these are technically arrays. This is a JSON object. Returns an array of all the values. So it returns an array of all the values in ages array that are over 18. 18 or over. So ages.filter check adult. So if it's just a basic JavaScript thing, then it should support it. Okay, yeah. Script 5. I think this is on like 15 or something. So I think it should support it. So we can pass through the current value, index, array, this value. So call the function to get, whether it would be a check for item or check for requirement or something. And we would pass through the Is there a way to pass? There should be a way to pass. So array filter function current value index. Okay, so in this one, this version, they just created a function, but you can also define a function inside of the filter definition. So yeah, we can pass through a value there. Let's see real quick. So function, where was that? There it is. Function current value index array, and then this value. So required value of the current elements, optional index of the current elements, and array the object belongs to. See, here's the thing though. I don't know if we can actually pass through something to like set what this value should be. I don't want to like put something in here that would store it. If I don't have to. Screeps. And Screeps, you have to use filters all the time. Where would that... I forget if my code files are actually in here or not. I don't think they are. Okay. Let's see. This is a low dash, but yeah, we can, so filter, game.creeps. So this is the array, and this is the condition. So, if we go back up to here to this, that's kind of backwards from this, though, isn't it? So maybe low dash is a bit different. That's what I was thinking. Low dash versus... collection method, not an array method. So it is a bit, yeah, the low dash filter is a bit different. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so this is returning values of this. Gotcha. So again, it's a predefined condition here. Well, I'll figure out how to do that later on. For now, we'll just do it the stupid way. Well, not stupid, but the maybe slightly less efficient way. And I just closed that. I didn't want to close that. There we go. So, game classes, prototype. So get, so it's going to be get is, let's see, so B is class required. So we're going to pass through a class ID, so so I think for required classes we need to actually make this an array of objects. And then I think we'll need to iterate over that. Using an object keys, maybe. What I'm talking about is one of these things. If I can find it. Object keys, acquired armor, for example. Well, that would iterate over the first element. We need to do both elements. Okay. We can just do it simply like this if we don't need to pull out anything specific. And I might have been able to just do it like this over here in the first place. Okay. I'm sure there's a specific reason I chose to do it with object.keys loop, but cannot recall at the moment. That'll probably become apparent when this stuff doesn't work. Probably like, oh, that's why I did it. Alright, where were we? We were up here somewhere. There. Okay, so for var I1 equals 0. I1 is less than class list dot length. And then we can just access it like we normally would. So var So what I'll do is I'll actually return the class object itself, not a true or false. Or maybe I'll return a JSON object that has true or false. Then if it's true, the class object. Because we need to return how many levels are required. I guess that's what we would just return the, cause we have the class ID already. We just need to return how many levels are required for it. So class object equals rec classes, this dot rec classes. I1. If CLS object dot ID equals, or not dot, VB getting in the way again. In VB you don't have parentheses around if statements. It's very strange. Equals CLS ID. Then turn true. I think that'll work. Well, yeah. I mean, maybe it could work. Let's split it up. Let's make this a found true. Let's make it a little more correct. Else, well, if we go through the entire for loop and we don't find the class ID, then we'll just do a return found false. So now if we're going to call this, let's see. Oh yeah, there's new game assist weapon. Duh. Expected a comma. What do I need to do? I think I'm missing something somewhere. And maybe it's because it's out in the middle of the code nut instead of anything as well. So let me grab this. Let's put it in here or something. No, it's still showing the same thing. So local var game classes any expected comma. I have not worked on JavaScript for too long. Gotta relearn some stuff. Had to shove it all out for VB. Let's see, how did I define this? I think I defined it the same way. Question is, does there have to be variables or not? I was in the wrong tab. That makes a lot of sense. Game instance web product. There we go. So when we call the initialization function, we do have stuff we're passing through. So maybe we have to have something. Let's just put some random thing in here. Constructor game instance weapon. Oh. Duh. We did forget something. Goes here. Okay, we're still missing something else. So new game instance weapon, lowercase new. Oh. Ah, there it is. Okay. So yeah, what we would do is like say var so we'd pass through something like, let's say 1 for whatever that is. And then we do a check on the JSON. So if JSON found, and you do this again. So this is an example of how this would work. So if JSON found, and then we'd say something like rec levels equals JSON LV. So that's how that would work. It's pretty simple like that. So this would be a loop through the class list that's the system class list. You pass through the IDs for each one of them, and then get back if it's required or not, and then process based on that. So yeah, that's how that would work. Okay. So, what time is it anyway? Yeah, it's probably a good place to stop for now. So, we'll be doing one of these maybe every day, maybe not every day, maybe every other day. Maybe days that don't have streaming later in the day, I'll do one of these in the morning. So Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I will do work on this off stream, so when we come back to this on Wednesday morning, I'll kind of go over what I did, and we'll pick up from where I left off when I was working off stream. Yeah, so we're going to be doing this for all the plugins. We're going to be going back through, refactoring, and adding a new functionality, and in this case of this one, changing some stuff to work more in line with what it should, or what I wanted to do now, as opposed to what I was doing before. But yeah, so thanks for watching the stream. If you did, watch it live on Twitch or YouTube. If you have comments or questions, leave them in the comment sections. And I'd appreciate it if you subscribe or follow. And I will see you tomorrow, where we will do... we might do work on Emulator tomorrow. Not entirely sure. I'm thinking it's probably just going to be KSP again. But we'll see. So, I will see you then.